Hi everyone. Hope you all are good. We are here for grade 8 math. You can find all the lessons on aplusstudents.com. You have to log in there using your email address and password as provided by the administrator. Then you have to select math from the subject tab. Scroll down to grade 8 math and then click on view all lessons. There you can find a list of the chapters. We're going to start with the chapter that is proportional relationships. The lessons we're going to cover today are identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality word problems, solve problems involving proportional relationships. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. Here I am on grade 8 math. Let's just start with the chapter proportional relationships. Let's just start with the lesson identify proportional relationships. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So proportional relationships are the one where x and y values are. To determine whether a graph shows an proportional relationship between x and y, see if it is a straight line through the origin, right? So if it is a straight line passing through the origin, then that means that is the proportional relationship. So the graph that is a straight line and passing through the origin is a uh, proportional relationship. Let's just start with the test questions. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. That is option number one is the correct option. That is a straight line and passing through the origin. So option number one is the correct option. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. Option number one is the correct option. The graph must be a straight line and passing through the origin. So option one is the correct option. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option? Option number one is the correct option. The graph must be a straight line. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option? Option number one is the correct option. The graph must be a straight line and passing through the origin. Select the graph that shows a proportional relationship between x and y. So which is the correct option? Option number two is the correct option. The graph must be a straight line. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. The next lesson is find the constant of proportionality word problems. John bought 8 souvenirs during 2 days of vacation. Then on another trip, he bought 12 souvenirs during 3 days of vacation. How many souvenirs does John buy during 1 day of vacation? So, number of souvenirs are 8 and days of vacations are 2. So, number of souvenirs are 12 and number of vacations are 3. We need to find the constant of proportionality, that is 8 over 2 and 12 over 3. That is 4. So that means John buy 4 souvenirs during 1 day of vacation. Let's just start with the test questions. Janelle grew 9 plants with 3 seed packets. Then later in the season, she grew 15 plants using 5 seed packets. How many plants can Janelle grow with 1 seed packet? So 9 plants and 3 seed packets. So 15 plants and 5 seed packets. So 9 divided by 3 is 3 and 15 divided by 5 is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. That is 3. Harold's Auto Wash has had revenue of $12 from 2 customers. At another point, the auto wash earned $18 in revenue from 3 customers. How many revenue does Harold's Auto Wash have per customer? So, which is the correct option? That is six. Option number one is the correct option. Harry took a total of 12 quizzes. After a school vacation, he took 14 quizzes over the span of 7 weeks. How many quizzes does Harry take per week? Option number one is the correct option. Two, it is. Anita took a total of 8 pages of notes during 2 hours of class. Then later in the year, she took 16 pages of notes during 4 hours of class. How many pages of notes does Anita take during an hour of class? That is 4. Option number 2 is the correct option. Sydney spent 3 minutes on the phone while routing 3 phone calls. Later in the day, she spent 15 minutes on the phone routing 15 phone calls. How many minutes does it take to route one phone call? So, which is the correct option? That is one. Option number one is the correct option. Andrew ran a total of 10 miles over the course of two track practices. Then later in the season, he ran 15 miles over the course of three track practices. How many miles does Andrew run per track practice? So, which is the correct option? 10 divided by 2 is 5. Option number 1 is the correct option, that is 5. Stanley prepared 12 kilograms of dough after working 4 hours. Then he prepared an additional 15 kilograms of dough after working another 5 hours. How many kilograms of dough does Stanley prepare every hour? That is 3. Option number 1 is the correct option. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. Let me just move on to next lesson. Solve problems involving proportional relationships. This equation shows how the number of flowers Anita can have in her garden is related to the number of seed packets she purchases. F equals 9 times S. The variable S represents the number of seed packets she purchases, and the variable F represents the total number of flowers in the garden. With one seed packet, how many total flowers can Anita have in her garden? So S is 1. That is, you need to replace S equals 1. So 9 times 1. That is 9 times 1 equals 9. Let's just start with the test questions. This equation shows how the total number of books Jack has read depends on the number of months he has been part of a book club. B equals 7m. B equals 7m. The variable m represents the number of months he has been a member of the book club, and the variable B represents the number of books that he has read. After belonging to the book club for 1 month, how many books will Jack have read in all? B equals 7m. That is 7 times 1. M equals 1. 7 times 1 equals 7. The correct option is 7. Option number 1 is the correct option. This equation shows how the amount of time that a receptionist named William spends on the phone is related to the number of phone calls he routes to employees. The variable P represents the number of phone calls he routes. The variable T represents the number of minutes he is on the phone. If he routes one phone call, how much time will William have spent on the phone in total? P equals 1. 5 times 1 is 5. Option number 2 is the correct option. This equation shows the the shows how the number of flowers Anita can have in her garden is related to the number of seed packets she purchases. The variable S represents the number of seed packets she purchases, and the variable F represents the total number of flowers in the garden. With one seed packet, how many total seed packets can Anita have in her garden? That is 9 times 1 is 9. Option number 2 is the correct option. The equation shows how the total number of necklaces Wendy owns related to the amount of money she spends on additional necklaces. N equals D. The variable D represents the amount of money she spends on additional necklaces, and the variable N represents the total number of necklaces she owns. With $10 to spend on new necklaces, how many total necklaces can Wendy own? That is 10. Option number 1 is the correct option because n equals d, d equals 10. So n is also 10. Okay, you can complete the lesson by yourself later today. So we are working on graded math ships. So please make sure before the lessons we have covered today are identify proportional relationships, find the constant of proportionality word problems, solve problems involving proportional relationships. So please make sure you have your notebook and pencil so that you can note down the important examples and definitions as well. So if you need more help with any of the lessons, you can simply click on the live tutors are available there to help you, or either you can answer all questions and confusions if any. So any questions you can please ask if you have any. No questions? Okay, then that's all for today. See you in the next session. Bye everyone.